every week.
Playing Adrian Zelski in the background, HGHC, InternationalHempExchange.com. Dub Conscious is the band. Come on our show, Adrian. Live from the mighty Wiedwerks airship, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Werks Unlimited Limited, better known as Wiedwerks.
And I'm Julie Richardson, Director of Commercialization and Promotions. And today we have with us the Vivid team, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jessica Cristadoro, the CEO and Senior Managing Consultant.
And I'm Steffen Weck. I'm the President and CEO of Vivid Team.
I want to tell people real quick that we did an episode last Thursday that I'm trying to pull up just the graphics here, but there are some kids in Douglas County, Colorado, who cannot take their cannabis medication to school, and we're trying to change that. So check out that episode from last week, and also check out the greencrayoncampaign.com. At the Green Crayon Campaign, what we're doing, or what Amber is doing, Amber Wan, Ben Wan's mom, is encouraging people to send green crayons to this superintendent of the Douglas County School District. And on that site, you can also download a PDF to write a letter just saying that, hey, these kids have rescue medications that they need and that are prescribed to them, and it's all legal, and they just need to be able to use it like an EpiPen at school.
Right.
And we had on last Thursday 2 specific examples of children who are being hurt by the current Douglas County School District decisions. Right. And we need people to write to tell them to change their policy on JLCDB.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, on all the Facebook posts, Governor Polis's office, what we need is him to sign an executive order. If he signs that the schools are opting out, well, what happens when there's a lockdown situation, a child with epilepsy who is more prone to having a seizure during crisis situations has a seizure and there's no medicine?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so this is not okay. It's a potentially life-threatening situation. And if we were talking about a child with a bee allergy, there'd be no question about having an EpiPen.
Yeah.
No question.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So what did you guys do before you got into cannabis?
Well, I explain this to people as my attempt at a 30-second elevator speech, and what in reality becomes more of a 30-minute elevator speech. So I hope we have a lot of time today.
We do.
We do.
Good. So my name is Steffen Weck. I'm the president and founder of a company called Food Business Consulting. Food business consulting has been around for about 20 years. I had worked in industry, in the food industry, from the time I was a teenager. And I realized after working many years with different companies that the thing that really got me excited about getting up in the morning was the independence, being able to have the flexibility to work on projects that excited me and kind of educated me and helped, invigorate my mind. And so I left corporate food in the corporate food industry and started out on my own doing food business consulting, or started the company Food Business Consulting. And in the early days, and we're talking about 20 years ago, product development was a lot different than it is today. Timelines back then were 18 months, and now we literally have timelines in the food industry. They're 18 days to launch a new product or to formulate a new product. And so we started out doing very basic product development, and what that meant in those days was me traveling to a client's location, a client's manufacturing facility, and working in their laboratories. And we do a great job of formulating new products. And then the customer would come to us and say, well, that's great. You made this awesome product, but now how do we make this? Do we have the manufacturing capability to make this product? And if we don't have that capability internally, where do we find that? So the point I'm trying to get to is that over the course of the last 20 years, Food Business Consulting's portfolio of services grew organically based on our clients' needs, to the point now where we can literally take a product, or even prior to having a tangible product, we can work with clients and understand what categories should we be investing time and effort into. What are the new trends? What are the latest things that people are looking for? We can start at a very early stage, what's typically called ideation stage, and help them formulate some thoughts around what could this new disruptive type of product be. And then we go through the entire spectrum or continuum, I sometimes call it, of the product development process. And that includes not only just formulation work, but also shelf life testing and consumer sensory research. And there's actually an interesting story that we can talk about when we start talking about the cannabis industry. But we literally take that product all the way from its ideation to what we typically call the commercialization, where it actually shows up on the shelf.
Right.
So about 5 years ago, I moved back to Colorado, and actually, I was at the time I was in Kansas City, and I started thinking about what is the next chapter in my life, and I started thinking, I grew up in Colorado, still have friends and family in Colorado, lots of outdoor activities and sports, and there's this thing that people are talking about called cannabis, and people are thinking about putting that into food. Isn't this an interesting dilemma here? Because people in this cannabis industry, this up and rising industry, are going to need the types of services that we provide on what I call the traditional food product development side. So moved to Colorado and really spent the last 4.5, 5 years really doing a deep immersion into the cannabis industry and understanding, what don't we know? Where are the experts? Where can we find people that have, a solid knowledge? Maybe it's outside the industry, but where are these people that we can engage in and work with and develop our team? So about 1.5 years ago, Jessica, my business partner, joined the team. I convinced her to leave the dark side, or come to the dark side, I guess, the dark side of consulting.
Or
we're the
green
good guys.
side.
Yeah, exactly.
The green side.
The green side. The green
Yes.
side. And along with that, and part of it was to integrate, Jess into the traditional food product development business, FBC, but also to start exploring how we can bring that exact same suite of services to the cannabis industry.
Yep.
So with that, I'm going to give it over to you to take it from there.
So, as Steffen said, about 1.5 years ago, I switched all of my studies to cannabis and understanding the science behind it. Not just the ingredients that the cannabis will go into, but also extraction techniques, actually going to the farms, getting better understanding of the growing. Not that I wanted to be a grow expert, but I wanted to understand the entire industry from beginning to end. Throughout that 1.5 years, was able to get a lot of exposure into everything you can think of, from formulation all the way through how dispensaries are set up, how to be a bud tender. And then, when was it? Last November, decided, all right, let's dip our toes in and let's see how this goes. And we were able to actually have the very first cannabis sensory testing in Denver.
Yep.
Do you want to jump in?
No, it's a very funny story. We for the longest time, we've avoided ever needing to advertise or ever feeling the need to advertise our business. And so one of the industry trade magazines came to us and said, we're starting this cannabis supplement or this cannabis magazine. Maybe, you guys would be interested in advertising. Because we know you guys from previous work. We want you to be one of our first cannabis advertisers. So we kind of rolled the dice and said, okay, this has never worked in the past. We don't, marketing just doesn't work for us. As we rolled the dice and spent, I think, a couple $1,000s. Well, we got a call from a client, or from who would eventually become one of our clients. It's an ingredient company based on the East Coast, and they said, you know what, we have this ingredient that works really well in tobacco. We've been in the tobacco industry where our ingredient goes into the blends of tobacco, and it lessens the harshness of tobacco smoke. And we're thinking that there might be a reason for us to exist in the cannabis space. So we wanted to do some consumer sensory testing, and we've heard you guys are the go-to resource for for cannabis and for product development and sensory research. So help us formulate a sensory test and recruit people. It's just a funny story. It kind of reminds me of how resourceful you have to be when it comes to when a client challenges you with something like that. I need to do a cannabis test. I need to recruit 60 people to come in, eat this gummy, give us their perspective on whether they like it or dislike it.
Oh yeah, and it all has to be legal.
It all has to be done legal. Everything has to be done above board. We've got to find places where we can do this, set up the sensory test, collect the data, recruit the people.
Right.
So you can imagine, people are coming in, they're getting high, eating the gummies during a 30-minute sensory test.
Yeah.
So then, obviously we need to make sure that people are safe getting home.
Yeah. So then you set up like an alcohol test.
Yep.
So everyone had to have a designated driver,
Exactly.
and even then we gave everyone Uber vouchers just in case.
Yeah, but it was very entertaining, and I think I think it proves the fact that you have to be resourceful still in this industry. There's lots of resources out there, but you have to be diligent in pulling things off. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do. Let's say you have somebody in the cottage industry and they're really growing with this product, but they're wanting to be more organic. They want it to be more ethically sourced. What can you do for them to help them grow their business and get their product to where they want it to be?
So first of all, most ingredients, especially like if you're looking at organic ingredients that you're looking for the edible, you can find replacements and things that are more clean. Or maybe you actually need to adjust your formula a little bit so that you can take out one of the bad ingredients. We have already experienced that on the traditional food side. So when you switch over to the cannabis edibles, it's a great transition. We can be helpful to become more clean label and to become organic, or if you want to switch over to gluten-free, many other issues, we're here.
Yep.
Now, do you mainly look at the European guidelines when looking for the safe alternatives? Because I know, like in macaroni and cheese, no longer is it red dye, it's turmeric, which is healthy for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are other alternatives that are being used that instead of the dyes?
Yeah. Instead of dyes, think of the hardest one, honestly, is to replace what's called red 40. And it's in pretty much everything.
Yeah.
It really is.
With that, your best choice is to think of vegetables. Your vegetables, your beets, your red radish, there's a Chinese cabbage, they all are purple. Yeah. And so if you use the right amount of it, you can absolutely replace red 40 with it.
Yeah.
What's the color that makes your pea blue?
Your pea blue?
Yeah.
Is this a joke?
No.
No, have you ever had a snow cone and it changed the...
We used to have this, we called it Windex at the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
They would deliver it, or, we would have it for lunch at the dining hall. And if you drank enough of it, you could definitely pea blue. Am I right or am I right? What was that stuff called? I think we got it from Sentence.
I'll get back to you on that
I think it's probably blue 3.
Maybe.
Probably.
Blue 3.
Blue
You heard it here first.
Exactly. Well, but and just brings up a good point, and I want to just explain to folks out there that are looking at formulating new products. We talked about the exchange from red 40 to beet color. The problem that you run into oftentimes with natural ingredients and more organic material is that it's not as stable as the synthetic ingredients. So
it can be pink if you have low pH. It can be purple if you have high pH.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden, things you didn't worry about before, you now need to.
Right. Or you have a product that, initially it looks, in the container, it looks very vibrant and orange or blue or green or purple. But over the course of time, over shelf life, especially with natural ingredients, that color can diminish, and you end up with a product that's a less desirable color, or the consumer believes is old and outdated.
Yep.
So
Right. The caking is a big issue.
exactly, absolutely, for sure.
Just shelf stability in general,
Right.
is what it's all about.
It is.
Yeah.
It really
and
is.
that's actually a good point. We also provide shelf life advice and shelf life studies. So as you want to test your edible for yeast, mold, any concerns throughout the shelf life, should it be refrigerated, should it be ambient? Those are all services our team offers.
And and to some degree, Colorado really hasn't had to deal with this yet, or states that do have legal marijuana haven't had to deal with this, because the majority of manufacturers are relatively small scale. The pull through at the dispensaries, the sell rate is pretty high, so shelf life really isn't an issue right now. Once we see more legislation and more legalization, shelf life is going to be an issue. Shelf life, if you're manufacturing in Colorado and shipping to the East Coast, that now becomes an issue, because the product's on the shelf for a lot longer than it is when it's in here in Colorado. So.
My blood pressure just went up about 5 points.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
What are the best product ideas that, like, if you could launch, say, 5 different types of products and you could make anything that you want, what would you launch? Like edible stuff.
Oh, edible.
No,
with cannabis,
let's start with edible cannabis products. Like, how about those Belvita breakfast bars? Like, you think about anything that you could put CBD in. I don't think it should be in everything we eat, by the way. I think that sometimes it'd be cool to make a Bloody Mary sauce.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
All right. Can I tell him?
Sure.
All right. So I'm giving this away. This is something that is a product that I actually just discovered, or I believe I discovered. You're going to hear it first
From you.
on this podcast. Somebody's going to take this idea and run with it. I don't have enough time with everything that's going on in the cannabis industry and everything that we've got going on. I have no time to create this product. But somebody out there, somebody in the audience, please, please, please take my idea and run with it. And I'll actually help you with it. I'll help you work. I'll help you figure out how to do it. But this is your brand, baby. You go with it. So there's a restaurant down the street from where we live, and we go there. It's kind of a date night out type of scenario, and we go and we started to become friends with the chef and the executive chef and all the folks behind the kitchen. And when Jess and I go out, we sit at what they call the chef's table. And the chefs, hi guys, how's it going? And for the next hour and a half, they just put on the dog. Hey, I've been working on this in the kitchen. I really want to show you. What do you think of this? And they're just really sweet guys. We were there probably a month ago now, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're a month ago there now, and there's actually a new kitchen staff, and they've changed the menu a little bit. And we ordered potato chicharrones. All right, potato chicharrones. Well, this dish comes out, and it literally looks like chicharrones, which, depending on your, interest in...
Like pig skins, right?
Pig skins. It's fried pig skins.
Yeah.
It's fried pig skin. Okay.
But it's a potato.
But it's a potato. No pig skin, no animal.
Completely vegan.
Completely vegan. I'm thinking that this is the next bagel chip idea. Potato chicharrones, vegetarian, all the flavors of the rainbow. Somebody do that.
You asked him.
That's the next new product. That's the next $400 million company.
Heck yeah. All right, what's number 2?
You
Give me what's your
you have to do
your
something
number
cannabis.
So mine, honestly,
Yeah.
would be gluten-free cookie dough bites that you can just put in the refrigerator. You pop them out one at a time. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like just cookie dough bites.
Yeah.
Just raw cookie dough.
Raw cookie dough bites.
I was thinking about Wilfred Cannabis brand topical peanut butter.
Topical peanut
I'm
butter.
telling you, Jason, that is a
Topical peanut butter.
yeah.
Okay. And there's this great company in town called the Vivid Team. They can help you commercialize that.
Nice.
Yep, absolutely.
I really do want to do a
What would the
toothpaste.
sensory test look like?
Oh, that could be interesting.
That's why it has to be Wilfred brand.
Yeah.
I'll show you the video later.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I want to do a toothpaste it's not an edible.
Yep.
Unless it's a toothpaste called Brush Your Teeth and Go to Bed. It's the world's first CBD infused edible toothpaste. So you can actually just brush your teeth in bed and then just go to sleep.
I like it.
And it works its magic all night long. Something like that.
I like that. And is that available in a kid's version too?
Well, I think that some kids have periodontal problems that maybe could be addressed by it. I'm not like you are with the
Potato chicharrones.
potato chicharrones. I just don't have the time for that.
Exactly.
I mean, you need to be a dentist. A rich dentist needs to start that company.
See, I think people should just tune into your show to get all these incredible ideas.
Oh, we come up with something all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But toothpaste is really exciting. You know, you get a dose.
Yeah.
We know that CBD has, according to studies, been positively, with bone growth and that sort of thing. And we know it helps with inflammation. What's the biggest, periodontal issue is
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would put it, I would use it.
Just the economics of it. Put 50 cents of CBD into, and again, it'd help if you were a toothpaste manufacturer to begin with.
Yeah.
But
This is true.
put 100 milligrams of CBD into
I
a
agree.
3-ounce tube of toothpaste
Yep.
and charge, 5.5 times that much money at the retail level.
Yep.
You got a winner.
Yep.
And until I see both a Crest and a Colgate with CBD in them, with their massive distribution, then I don't think we're growing enough hemp.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll never need enough hemp to where we need to get it from anywhere else
That's
but
true.
the U.S.
How about edible bubbles? Do you think you could do that?
Potentially.
Yeah, out of sugar.
Like,
Potentially.
kids' bubbles?
But you're not really consuming those.
Well, if you blow them at a dog and the dog eats it.
There you go.
Okay.
Potentially. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got a
It'd be tough to
tincture.
control the dose. So,
Have to involve
5 milligram bubble,
Right.
milligram double.
Somebody could make medicated bubbles then. I think there are tons of cool ideas for products that we haven't even seen the beginning of it yet.
And again, that's I've been doing this for so long, but I swear to God, every day I get up in the morning, I'm like, I'm going to learn something new. There's a new technique, a new technology, a new ingredient, a new trend. I mean, it's just it's an incredible career. It really is.
I'm ready for somebody to develop a shake mix
Yeah.
that doesn't taste horrible. Or I've tried so many different ones,
Yeah.
and either they're so grassy,
Yeah.
you can't even swallow them, or they have way too much of the artificial sweeteners in there.
Yes.
But if I want a hemp protein smooth, I don't want it necessarily sweet.
Right.
And the fruit I put in it will suffice for that.
Absolutely.
But you help with nutritional labeling. What are you guys doing as far as staying up to date? How would you do the dosing on something like that on a canister of drink mix?
So we have a regulatory team that actually will work with you on what the product is and how it will be used. So if it's expected that it'll be a scoop full and a half cup of milk, they'll work with you to figure out how much of all the ingredients need to be in there, at what ratios, and be able to tell you what is in the product, a list for the ingredient statement and the nutritional information, so that you're more educated in whether or not it's clean or what are the sub-ingredients of what you're working with.
Exactly. And that was one of the things we were talking about earlier. We the food industry is so rigorous, and thankfully so, with nutritional labeling. But what a lot of folks don't realize is there are no nutrition facts panels on the back of most of the edible products that you see in dispensaries right now. And it's something that will have to happen. At some point, consumers are going to demand to know what's in here. We see so many labels in the marketplace that you can hardly read under a microscope.
Oh yeah.
And so that's one of the things that both the traditional food business consulting, and as well as the Vivid team for cannabis. These are the kind of things that we can provide to our clients and the customers that seek us out, is correct regulatory label standards, and making sure that information is disclosed. So it's coming. It's bound to happen at some point.
Well, with you guys, you have the background of helping someone create a really good product, infused or not.
Right.
You start with making a quality product, and with your background with working with foods and how to make what turns out just great in your mom and pop shop, how does that translate into cases and cases and cases,
exactly,
and still be just as delicious and or nutritious, depending on what the goal was. So that's exciting, because that's a hard thing to do, to take this great idea and turn it into something huge.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the areas that the food business consulting and the Vivid team excel at is understanding. And when we like to say that when we take on a project, we feel, when we internalize it and decide to work on somebody's project, we know that the project that we're working on is going to have a very high probability of seeing success in the marketplace. And that's because we're looking at the end before we even start the project. And Jess and I, we actually are a very good complementary team, in that I tend to be more process driven, and Jess tends to be more product driven and formulation driven. And so we're very complementary when it comes to when we work on a project. She's looking at it from the product perspective. I'm looking at it from the manufacturing perspective and saying, well, that's great. You can make 5 pounds of this, and you can make a couple dozen edibles or gummies or something out of this batch. Well, what happens when we need to make 2,000 pounds? What do we need to do? What kind of equipment do we need? How do we process this?
And meanwhile, I'm looking at the product, and is it going to dry out? Is it going to mold? Is it going to change color? And keeping that all in mind as we go through the process.
And it's funny, because sometimes we get into fundamental arguments, about I'll say, well, we can't have this ingredient in the product because this is what it does to me on the processing side. And but it's a very interesting process, and I'm so grateful that Jess joined the team a year and a half ago, because we have just I can't imagine where it had just not joined the team. I can't imagine that we would be where we are right now. We've got so much going on, and we're so excited to be in the cannabis industry now, and really making some good strides.
Everybody's in the cannabis industry.
That's
now.
true.
I saw this morning that Rob Gronkowski he was on all the morning shows this morning talking about his new hemp CBD stuff for athletes. I have an idea for your chicharrones. I don't know how to spell chicharrones.
I don't.
But Dan Quayle can't spell potato chicharrones. Dan Quayle's potato chicharrones, available in fine retailers near you.
Funny Dan Quayle story. I'll just throw this in there. This is for the benefit of my sister in the audience. My sister grew up in Indiana, in Indiana, or actually in Lebanon, Indiana, where Dan Quayle's family is from. And for the longest time, my sister had a crush on Dan Quayle. So,
heck.
But then we realized what he was really all about. So
that's a target demographic right there that
go.
Dan Quayle appeals to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time for him to jump into the CBD industry. Do you have famous people who are like, I'm famous, I want a weed product?
That happens. Yep. And they say, oh, give them to me.
How does the conversation start? Like, do you say say I'm famous for, let's pick a famous person.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Okay. Ben Affleck comes in. So I'm already thinking chowder, apples. Mm-hmm. Ben Affleck's How You Like Them CBD infused apple slices.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like
like
that one.
dehydrated slices you could take on
I
trail
like it.
mix.
I like it.
And then, chowder.
Yeah.
And some kind of, isn't like South Irish type, or what is it, South Boston? Southie.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's been
Or
a while.
Boston baked beans infused with CBD.
I wonder if the guys from South Park are really going to start a hemp farm.
I think they should.
They should.
Integrity Farms. I think that's going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
They would crush it.
They would crush it because they already have their name out
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
it's.
Exactly.
How about Kevin Spacey? Kevin Spacey's never coming out with the CBD product. That's
Why?
because I think there are just some things you can't quite recover from.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. All right.
But I don't know, man. If I had $100 million in the bank or something like that, I'd certainly think about it.
Yeah. So your example was Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the whole. You got to give me the pitch. You said Ben Affleck walks into my office.
And he
wants-
says, I want to make.
Yeah.
I'm Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
I have a lot of money
Yeah.
and a lot of recognition and stuff, and I want to come out with some Ben Affleck stuff.
Okay.
Where
Ben
would you
Affleck
start?
brand stuff, and
Ben
I want
Affleck
real
We
brand
can do that.
credibility.
Yeah,
We can do that.
absolutely. So
Absolutely.
we would start off with, what are your dreams? What are your hopes?
Yeah.
I like beer,
That's important.
Absolutely. So
so Ben Affleck beer.
sure, we could do
Potentially.
Ben Affleck beer.
Yeah.
And then we'd figure out, okay, well, what type of beer? Do you want it more hoppy? How do you want it?
Yeah.
And have a lot of beer with Ben Affleck.
Do you want to manufacture the beer yourself? Do you see
No.
yourself? Do you see yourself
No.
becoming a brewmaster?
No, I just
Okay, well,
want.
so then we gotta
I
be-
got like a whole bunch of Instagram followers and stuff.
Yeah. So you don't. You just
right.
want to. You just kind of want to be the spokesman.
Perfect.
Yes.
So then
Okay.
we'll find somebody to make it for you too.
Yeah. So we'll help you formulate the product. We'll do consumer testing if you wanted to. To do consumer testing, we'll help you with packaging. And these are all things that we do both on the traditional side as well as the cannabis side.
Yep.
In terms of we've got packaging engineers that are well versed in product development and package development for cannabis. But these are the types of things that we can do. Is
Okay, let's hope that it works. We're just gonna try and take off where we left,
Where we
or
left
take up where we left off.
so you're Ben
And-
Affleck.
I'm Ben Affleck. I have just come to you with a wicked smart idea. Oh, can we call it wicked smart beer?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'll do
Yeah.
a trademark search and
Ben Affleck's wicked smart CBD infused
I like it.
IPA.
I like
Yeah.
it. And what's with the accent?
He's Ben Affleck.
I'm not Ben Affleck. I'm Ben Affleck's like representation.
Got it.
He's wicked busy. He just wants to put his hashtag on it and Instagram it out and make money.
Be an influencer.
Yeah, influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about what's that woman's name? Whose daughter's an influencer who's got to go to jail or at least to court.
Oh, you're talking about the tuition
college
and
scam.
college
She was just in-
scam.
She was just in
Lori Loughlin.
Laughlin,
Yep.
yeah.
Lori Loughlin's
Yep.
get out of jail ale. CBD infused get out of
CBD
jail
infused.
ale.
I like it. I like that one.
Have you had like celebrities? You don't have to say their names, but
Yeah.
do you get a lot of that?
It's funny. We actually do. And if we have time, do we have time?
we have
All right.
time.
So actually, two funny stories, and neither of which actually ever materialized, but they're funny. I think they're funny stories. So we got a phone call at random, probably I'm going to say 15 years ago. And it was somebody on the phone and said they were the producer of a television series, and they were had a lot of success with this brand, and that they were having a sort of the end of the year party gala, whatever, and they wanted us to develop a beverage, specific beverage, that was very deep, dark blood red. And you see where this is going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of the, I can't remember, what were the...
True Blood.
True Blood. It was True Blood. Exactly. Yeah, it was the producers of True Blood had come to us to develop this product.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the timeline, it was one of those things where it's like, normally that would take maybe 6 to 12 months to develop. Yeah. And the producer's like, well, no, I need it for a party next month. We're like, dude, sorry, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And one of the more recent ones was, I don't know if I can say the name. No?
Probably not.
All right. Well, it's a well-known female singer who had a chef, or one of her chefs, executive chefs that worked with her and traveled with her, had this just phenomenal fried chicken recipe. And her idea, the singer's idea, was to have his chicken products, chicken sandwiches, served at all the venues that she would be singing at. So unfortunately, it's one that is just a little too far out of our comfort zone, a little too tight, on the timeline. But the singer was Lady Gaga. So
How about Missy Elliott's CBD infused milkshakes?
I like that.
They bring all the boys to the yard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In your development, do you get a lot of when you were studying? There's a lot of between the oils.
Yes.
Butter will do this, and coconut oil will do that.
Yes.
Is that something that you've studied and looked into? And when somebody comes to you and I would just want it out of coconut oil, are you ready for that conversation?
Yeah, and sometimes it's more showing them, this is what will happen if you choose to use what you want to, and this is what will happen if we use what I want to, and here's how it's safe. Because the main objective is to have it delicious and safe. Whether or not we use the oil I want or they want, it just needs to be the best for the consumer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just going back to a point I made earlier about just when somebody comes to us about wanting to develop a new product, whether that's on the traditional side of the food industry or cannabis. We sometimes there's like this dance or this negotiation where someone will say, well, I really have to have this certain attribute or this certain ingredient, or we won't say the name of that company, but
and that does happen.
But I mean, ingredients like chia seeds. Everybody was on the bandwagon for chia, a couple of years ago, and so everybody, let's put chia in everything that we consume.
And they did it so quickly, quite like many ingredients we are all experiencing, that they didn't realize that chia over shelf life absorbs all moisture in the product that it's in.
It's like it essentially absorbs 300 times its weight in moisture.
Yeah.
So it's great
It's
in
a big
something
diet thing right now. You drink the chia seeds, it makes you feel
stomach.
Right.
But
so, and these are issues that we don't only see, in the small players, the emerging food brands and companies, but these are the same types of issues that large manufacturers deal with as well. Yeah. Sometimes things get a little too far ahead of the game, and I think we talked earlier about timelines the way they used to be 20 years ago, and a timeline to launch a product was 18 to 24 months. And we're in such this frenzied state in the food industry and in the cannabis industry that everybody's just pushing as much crap out there as they can, and they're not really doing the due diligence. They're not doing the shelf life testing. They're not doing the consumer research, to find out, is there really a reason for this to be on the shelf? And it's not. It's expensive. Shelf space is an expensive commodity. It's an expensive piece of real estate in the grocery store and in dispensaries as well. There's limited. You have only a limited amount of product or space to showcase your product. So you want to do the right things, even if that means kind of pulling back on the reins and saying, let's slow this process down a little bit. Let's enlist the support of folks that know what the heck they're doing. So,
how long do you think that Carl's Jr. had the CBD burger in the works before they brought it to market?
No, to be honest, we did not work on that project.
Did not work on that project.
But my vote is probably 12 months.
Did they put it in the sauce? Is that what they did?
Yeah.
Was it in the sauce? I never actually tried the product. I mean, obviously, it's you're not going to taste the difference anyway. But it's
or like in the ketchup. like I don't know what the burger
For some reason, I thought it was
but
literally
just-
I
in
think
the
it was
bun.
literally in the
I mean
bun.
that you could put out pretty
Yeah. But then you
consistently.
No.
you're not going to dose it very well.
Not that
if-
consistently.
No.
Well, what if you had a pipette
You have to have a really small pipette.
or very diluted ketchup? I mean, if
Yes.
it's only like
Yes.
5 milligrams
Yeah,
of CBD in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
But
probably
when it comes to working in
5
restaurants,
grams
you want
of ketchup, you
they
could
need
keep
more
it in there.
flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was just a 1-day stunt. But you think it took a year for them to?
You know, you do
think
bring up
so.
an interesting point. Not to interrupt whatever this was, but you know, it's one of the things that I feel like a lot of people still don't understand is you know how the processing conditions. And again, I'm the process guy of this equation. So, but you know, a lot of folks, especially in the cannabis industry, don't understand how important homogeneity is in your mixture. You know, whether it's a syrup or a tincture or a gummy or a chocolate or whatever.
You can't just water it down.
You can't just water it down. There are techniques and there's strategies and there's technology that's out there that can be employed to improve your chances. You may never ever have 100% homogeneity, bar none, but you can improve your chances. You can improve the consistency in your product. You can improve the consumer's experience with your product.
Right.
So it's
Well, you had that example with this.
Yeah.
The customer wanted it clear, and that was just a matter of how it was processed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, with that, we reviewed the information and we processed it according to what the science would tell us, and they put it side by side, what we did and what they were currently making, and realized that it was actually how we made it that was different.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually that's a very interesting story in that, the young gentleman, Joshua Littlejohn, that owns the brand High Grade, he came to me about 6 months ago, and when we first started talking, it sounded, like, something had happened, somebody had been manufacturing the product for him, and that the relationship soured over time, and now, Joshua's in a situation where he needed somebody to, the product's already on the shelf. I'm already starting to build the brand. I'm already starting. The kicker is the person that was producing it for him was the only one that had the recipe.
Yeah.
So Joshua, the brand owner, the brand holder of this product that's actually doing well in the marketplace, doesn't even know what his recipe is.
And that happens
Yeah.
so often when you're working with co-manufacturers.
It really does. It really does. And there are ways around that. And the point isn't to disparage, co-manufacturers.
Not at all.
It's just there are ways to protect your self-interest and protect your brand.
Yeah.
And
Intellectual property.
But when that does happen, or if partnerships break up or whatever, and you need help trying to understand what your product originally had, we can help you with that.
absolutely.
And so that's what we did in this
Absolutely.
situation.
Yeah, and actually, the more we started working on with High Grade and with Joshua, it, what ended up evolving out of this relationship was that, and you probably can't actually see it, but the syrup inside the bottle is actually quite it's actually quite cloudy, and it's not the most appealing product.
Yeah, I mean it's a great product, but
Yeah.
it isn't as visually appealing if you wanted to do
it's-
different things with it.
And frankly, it's not as good as it can be. Mm-hmm. And so, we worked with Joshua and his group and his team, and he's just about to launch, and I think it's happening within the next 2 or 4 weeks,
Yep.
something in a time frame. He's relaunching the product, completely new labeling, completely new graphics. But what's really impressive, in my opinion, but we helped, was the fact that now he's got perfectly clear, crystal clear syrups that taste much better. They have no artificial colors and flavors in them. They're all natural flavors. We've created a line that is essentially the color spectrum. So all of his products now have a unique look and appeal, and it's very exciting. Yeah, it's one of our kind of our gold standard kind of stories right now.
Well, cool. That is a
yeah.
good story. That you took a problem and they ended up with a better product.
Exactly.
And that's an answer to a lot of people are looking for. The consumer votes with their dollar, and you're noticing that there's a lot more organic lines in all of the grocery stores. Even Walmart has an organic line now. What other consumer demands are you seeing that are not only affecting the major food chains, but are also going into the cannabis industry?
Yeah. Definitely reduction in allergens.
Yeah.
Either removing gluten or actually being as allergen free as possible.
And then
Seeing-
no nuts and
no nuts, no dairy, no soy.
Yeah.
That's one of the main ones. But also the push for clarity as to what are in the edibles in the first place is a huge one.
Right.
Where when it was just gummies, there's an assumption on what a gummy recipe is.
Yeah.
And chocolates, well, we know chocolates, we have Hershey's, but everything else in the gambit is where people start to say, well, is there gluten in it? Was it run on a line that used peanuts? And many items have it in the very fine print, but you can't actually read it.
Yeah.
right. Because it does have to have there was manufactured in a facility
Exactly.
that has,
Right, but-
you know.
It's so hard to see.
Yes, it is. But if you have a nut allergy,
Yeah.
Right,
And you guys bring up
exactly.
a very good point. And I think we talked, during the show, or if we were before the show went live. We were talking about a lot of the folks that are now in the cannabis industry making edibles specifically. They're working from a home kitchen, or maybe they've graduated to a shared use facility. It's just a kind of a word of caution for everybody out here that, shared use commissaries are shared use, which means, folks could be making peanut butter paste or, whatever you want to, some sort of a spread or, something using peanut butter or an allergen right next to your product that you're promoting as being, allergen free.
Right.
So it's you're kind of still running a risk. I'm not disparaging
But once you go to-
shared use commissaries, but you got to be super, super diligent.
Yeah. So frequently, when it comes to the discussion on removing of allergens, it is. So we need to look at where we're making it and how we can make sure that it is actually, in fact, allergen free when it says it is.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just paying attention to watching the CPU speed. There's something going on with this system. But we'll get it
we
worked out.
apologize.
Yeah,
No
sorry about that
No
glitch,
worries.
everybody.
No
I'll have
worries.
to go back and patch this together, and then we'll
send it up.
send it up.
Yeah.
But
So can we pull up their website and
we can
contact them? Can we try?
we can try.
Hopefully this works.
Oh, now we're in the city.
Oh, you did get our background looking better. The Vivid Team.
Yep, thevividteam.com.
Thevividteam.com. And wait, learned a trick from MTI, Adam Dunn's guy.
That's cool.
How about that?
There.
you go.
All right.
I like it.
So thevividteam.com takes you to Vivid Consulting LLC,
Yep.
helping you to define the future of edibles. Is there anything in
So,
particular?
No, just go to services and just wanted to make sure that we all saw the logo.
Product development, co-manufacturer evaluation, financial modeling and forecasting, packaging design and development, product safety and compliance, brand development, market analysis.
So this is one stop.
Yep.
You get your product developed, a good quality, all of the things that you're looking for and not looking for, into a quality product that's going to sell in itself. But then you can also take that product and infuse it and make it a cannabis product to where it can be a measurable dose.
Yep.
And that's where so many people mess up when they're trying to do their cottage industry. They don't get it in. Each dose isn't the same.
Exactly, yeah. And to be clear, the Vivid team is run by Steffen and Jessica, but it's a large team of experts in all the different fields that we mentioned before.
Yeah.
Now, you also brought up something that I didn't realize, and that's the female aspect to this.
So with the Vivid team, it's we're working to staff with as many female or female-run companies as possible, and this is my opportunity to help all the women that I've worked with for all these years. So I'm excited.
Well, the cannabis industry has some amazing, amazing women entrepreneurs,
definitely.
and I noticed that from a community organizer set of eyes, as we all come into the marketing meeting, how many more women there are than men. And then I can turn around and leave that meeting and go to a chamber meeting, and it's the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where women
totally
in the
awesome.
cannabis industry, they're leading it.
I love it.
And
it's wonderful.
loving it, yes.
Yeah, it is
So,
awesome.
absolutely. What are some of the things that if a woman came to you and said, look, I want to get involved in this, and where would you guide her?
First, I would want to understand what her passion is and truly what she'd like to get out of this. Is it that she wants her name on something? Is it that she wants to get involved more and maybe she's already in marketing and wants to actually help women start up businesses with her marketing services? There's many ways to get involved, whether it be learning whether it be starting a company or maybe mentoring another woman in the community.
Well, and that's so vitally needed too, because I know several of our women's organizations, that's exactly what we do, because they'll come out here and, I'm going to start in the cannabis industry and let me be a bud tender, but they're really an accountant. So you're a good example of what we tell people all the time is come be in the industry, but be in the industry as you.
Exactly.
And as this is something that is so needed. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to an infused event and had no idea what I was about to eat. And that needs to stop. Do you guys have any reservations or anticipation coming up with what the guidelines from the FDA are going to be and how that's going to change things?
Honestly, I think that for cannabis, it's just going to take a long time.
What about hemp and
long
CBD?
Hemp and CBD, I think that'll be more rapid, but
They've opened the gate.
they have.
They have, and it's like you can't stuff the genie back into the bottle. I mean, I don't think that people are going to let go of it at this point. And it's actually I'm maybe a couple months behind on developments, but I did read something or saw somebody maybe posted on Facebook, so it must be true. But there was somebody that there were a lot of hearings about CBD legislation and legalization and whatever. And I'm pretty sure that somebody stood up during that meeting and said, well, why don't we just declare it as GRAS, which stands for generally recognized as safe. And it's not that we're anointing it with this designation forever and ever. It's just simply a way of saying, look, the studies have been, things have been done. People have been using this for a long time, and it's not going to harm anyone. We're relatively certain on the 90th percentile range that you'll be okay if you consume this, and then work towards further legislation. But it seems like we just get too wrapped up in things that have enormous potential health benefits and benefits in general to consumers. The process just does not work. So,
do you think that the hemp industry and the regulations that will be imposed upon it will affect the entire food supply? Like if I can't, if I have to have glyphosate testing for my CBD oatmeal cookies, and it's impossible to buy oats without glyphosate on them, will that, and I have to put a QR code on there so people can scan it and see the lab results and see that there's no residual pesticides.
It's almost like a backlash or like a rubber band type of effect.
I think they ought to regulate all oatmeal cookies like they regulate hemp CBD oatmeal cookies.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
There's a lot of regulation about to come down. You could prove a point just by putting some CBD in any product off the shelf and sending it to get tested. And just be like, look, America, that's what you're eating.
Exactly.
Right. I think they'd be really shocked if they ever really realized what was on the back of a lot of children's cereals.
Yes, absolutely.
But not on Dan Quayle's potato chicharrones.
No.
with E. Like
That I
Yeah.
agree. You know, I hadn't seen you cobble that together, the Dan Quayle and the potato
Yeah.
chicharrones thing. It makes perfect
yeah,
sense.
P-O-T-A-T-O-E.
No, but Dan needs to spell chicharrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
C-H-I-M-M-I-P-P-I.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was then. And then this is now. We're so much better off now.
Well, I know weed's a lot more legal now than it used
Yeah.
to be, and that's a good thing.
Exactly.
And I think the industry is going to change a lot of society in ways that I think are going to be really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I agree. There is hope.
Yeah. Yes. Well, as a developer, what are some of the things that once you got your hands on some hemp, what are some of the things that you've been trying to come up with?
Pretty much everything.
Do you know you can decanter it and make hemp milk out of it? And
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
it's so fun.
Oh, see, what's funny is I was going down the path of, croissants, cinnamon rolls.
Exactly.
Well, I've been playing
Brownies.
with flour ratios because it's so dense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so dense. I can't even imagine what a test kitchen would look like, and what can you do to make it work with other flours and what have you.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of test kitchens, maybe at some point we need to have you come by and take a look at our test kitchen.
I would love
That'd be
to.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
it's
love
it's cute. And, we moved into a new space about 6 months ago, and we knew going in that it was probably going to be a little bit of a tight push. But once the equipment starts rolling in and the racks, and we get shipments of ingredients every day, for projects that we're working on. And so our tiny little test kitchen, it's kind of people that have seen the test kitchens that we've worked at before, they kind of equate it to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
There you go.
We're over we're just on the north side of I-70, right across from the Purina dog chow plant.
Oh, lovely.
And so we've got this cute little building that's been around for I think 110 years or something. And it looks really sketch from the outside, but you walk in and you see these lights and stainless steel, and the product developers are working, or food technologists, and there's just this buzz of activity. It's a fun place. We learn a lot.
definitely.
We enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd love to come and take a tour, and that'd be awesome.
great.
Yeah.
To see how that really works, and
Yeah,
all the ins and outs of it. That'd be neat.
See some Oompa Loompas.
True Blood brand Bloody Mary mix. Just now that they can take their time, they've got brand recognition.
Yep.
But yeah, just Bloody Mary mix that I've obsessed about how to do a Bloody Mary with CBD in it for a long time.
Yeah.
Like pretty much every time I've had a Bloody Mary, I thought, like, what's the best way to do that? Should you sell these big heavy things? Wouldn't it be nice if you could sell little things that you added to it? But then how hard is it to portion that out correctly? And I thought maybe a little pump,
Right.
like almost like a little lotion bottle with a.
Yeah.
That's and then you could get it, But
What about those little? Well, that'd be plastic tubes. You know how the little tubes where they have to twist off and you squirt it out.
Like the kids squeeze rings. Yeah.
that's a lot of extra
waste
packaging.
flow.
Yeah, it's a lot of extra
It's extra
packaging.
packaging.
Yeah.
But like a pump or I don't know. I even thought about CBD infused toothpicks.
Yeah.
And you would put the toothpick in there and shake it up and let the ethanol do the extraction of the CBD into the mixture, and it seems like it would have stayed there.
I like it.
You're in a fun business.
I like it. Yeah, I think next time we do an ideation session, we have a client come in and talk about new food products. We're just going to do this.
Yeah.
We're just do this and just shoot the shit about what's
Cool?
What's cool?
toothpicks,
What's innovative? What's
potato
different?
chicharrones,
Dan Quayle's,
Dan Quayle's potato chicharrones. You got it.
Mitch McConnell's
Yeah. I want credit for that, by the
frog
way.
legs.
If anybody out there actually does do the potato chicharrones thing,
Let me know.
Just give me some kind of honorable mention. At the
Can make it shelf stable. I can ship it to King Supers
damn
across
yes.
the.
I mean, damn hell yeah, we can do anything.
Yeah.
We've got the team.
That's right. That sounds
wanna-
amazing.
I don't. Due to the interruption in this, I'm not sure exactly how long we've gone, but I would love to talk about products like all day long. Like I'm telling you, that Wilford brand,
Yeah.
I'll show you the video after, or I will try to. Wilford brand CBD infused topical peanut butter.
Okay.
There's a market for it.
Yeah, I don't think you heard her earlier, but Jess was like, what does the sensory test look like for that? The consumer sensory
Yeah, I'll
test.
show you. That was the episode.
Oh, that was the episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, speaking of sensory tests, I thoroughly enjoyed when I participated in that. That was a lot of fun.
Good.
And to give you a little idea of what happened, I went and I sat in a cubicle, and it was very, it wasn't what I expected at all. Because it was so professionally done. And every little piece of candy had a questionnaire that went along with it. There was time to cleanse my palate and go back for another one. But I was really
Thank
taken
you.
off guard at the
Thanks.
professionalism. And you can put my name on the list for that anytime you want to.
You're in our database.
Yep.
Exactly.
Didn't mind that, not one bit. It was
Yeah.
it was well worth the driving through the abominable
That's right.
snowstorm.
We had this
Yeah.
snowstorm. That was crazy.
It was. I'm hoping we don't have a winter like that again this
Yeah.
year. It's been pretty traumatic last year.
Not ready for it.
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I would say go to the thevividteam.com, fill out a contact request, and we'll start the conversation from there.
Yep.
You guys on Facebook?
Yep, on
are.
Facebook, Instagram, I think Twitter.
Probably. Probably. We follow Donald Trump.
The Vivid Team on, or is it just Vivid on Instagram?
On Instagram, it's _vivid_team.
Okay,
Cool.
outstanding.
And team is really important.
It is.
Definitely.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It
There's no
really
way.
is.
You know, I think Jess maybe mentioned earlier that there's no way we could be doing what we're doing now without the team of folks that we have working for us.
Yeah.
So, big shout out to them.
Well, it really does sound like a fun job.
It is.
And just
Yeah.
the type of stuff that I would love to think about every day.
Exactly.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Julie, for setting it
Thank you
up.
for the opportunity.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Sorry about the technical difficulties. And as always, I'm Travis Lippert, reminding you, if you don't get hemp here, get hemp somewhere.